Dear participants and Jayantians, good morning. I would like to bring to your notice a few general instructions. Keep your microphone mute when you are not speaking. Also, enable the videos if only required. Don't get distracted by your mobile phones. Be active and make the sessions interactive. Participants can post the questions through the chat box during the question answer session. And last but not the least, students, please maintain the Jayantian decorum. I quote, research is the formalized curiosity for creating new knowledge, whereas publication is the auction of the mind of man. A very warm good morning to one and all present here. The most estimable resource person, Dr. Gilbert C. Magulod Jr., University Director for Knowledge and Technology Management, Cagayan State University, Philippines, Reverend Dr. Father Augustine George, Principal, Kristu Jayanti College, Dr. Aloysius Edward, Dean of Commerce and Management, Head of the Department of Economics, Dr. K. Vinoda Devi, all the faculty members, participants of the webinar, and dear Jayantians. Writing a research paper is a science and an art. Publication of our work is equally significant in order to be of utility to the academicians and scholars. It is a long journey where the researchers read, think, scribble, write, edit, and repeat. Choice of a journal will encompass numerous aspects like scientific rigor, journal reputation, and indexing status. We have come together today in this virtual erudite platform for a special lecture to develop an outlook on the effective routes to get articles published in Scopus and Web of Science indexed journals, organized by the Department of Economics, Kristu Jayanti College.
A wearer of smiles and a bearer of kindly disposition needs no introduction, but is welcome anywhere. I call upon Ms. Magulod Jr of second year MA Economics to welcome the gathering. Over to you, Ms. Magulod.
Thank you, Tesma. A small cheer and a great welcome make a merry feast. I'm extremely delighted to offer a hospitable welcome to this auspicious gathering. Today, we have amidst us an esteemed resource person, Dr. Gilbert C. Magulod Jr., University Director for Knowledge and Technology Management of the Research, Development and Extension of Cagayan State University, Cagayan City. Thank you, sir, for your time. It's indeed my privilege to welcome you on the behalf of Department of Economics, Kristu Jayanti College. I also take this opportunity to welcome Dr. K. Vinoda Devi, Head, Department of Economics. She has been the driving force of our department. It's my privilege and honor to welcome you, ma'am. I also extend a cheerful welcome to the faculty members of the Department of Economics. Welcome, teachers. Last but not the least, I welcome the participants and all the Jayantians who came forward to be part of this webinar. Once again, I welcome you all. Now, it's time to present before this august gathering our chief guest of the day. It is indeed an honor for me to introduce the most esteemed resource person, Dr. Gilbert C. Magulod Jr. Sir is presently the designated University Director for Knowledge and Technology Management of the Research, Development and Extension of Cagayan State University since 2018, and concurrently the Campus Research Coordinator of Cagayan State University at Assam. Dr. Magulod obtained his PhD in Educational Management at a very young age of 23 in 2013. He has published 29 research articles indexed in Scopus, Clarivat Analytics, and Asian Citation Index journals. Dr. Magulod has presented researches in various international, national, and regional research conferences and symposia, and was awarded Best Research Presenter and Best Research Paper awardee. He was awarded Distinguished Faculty Researcher in Social Science category of Cagayan State University. He presently serves as editor and reviewer of various SSCI Web of Science Index and Scopus Elsevier journals such as International Journal of Learning, Teaching and Educational Research, Journal of Technology and Science Education, etc. Dr. Magulod has co-authored 5 books. Few among them are Research Methodology, Quantitative and Qualitative, a practical guide for researchers from gap identification to publication, and How to Conduct Action Research in Education. He is an associate member of the National Research Council of the Philippines under Division 1 and was conferred as a Fellow of the Royal Institute of Educators, Singapore. It's an absolute privilege to hear from you, sir. I once again welcome you and invite you for your talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Chumol George, for the very kind introduction. It's my pleasure to meet the Indian scholars of Kristu Jayanti University, Kristu Jayanti College, and hoping that we can have a sharing of knowledge, what we call the academic cross-pollination across borders. And the topic given to me, before I will finally start my talk, I would like to acknowledge and of course greet everyone, most especially the principal of Kristu Jayanti College, Principal Reverend Father Agustin George. The Philippines is a Christian country, and we share the same faith with Christianity. I would like also to acknowledge the Dean of the Department of Economics, Dr. Aloysius Edward, the head of the department, Dr. Vinoda Devi. The Kristu Jayanti College has more than 8,000 students studying in the college, and it is one of the leading colleges in India, and soon to be a university, a world-renowned university. And of course, with the dedicated effort of the faculty, of the administration, the students, we hope that every university around the world will achieve its reputation as one of the universities recognized by higher education rank, or the Times Higher New Education rank. And so much for that introduction. My appreciation, which we usually greet in the Philippines, mabuhay. Mabuhay would means long live, and greetings from the beautiful islands of the Philippines to the most beautiful country of India. The topic given to me is the effective routes to get articles published in Scopus and Web of Science Index journals. Let me begin with this rationale that what is really the reasons, or what are really the reasons why journal articles are being rejected by reputable publishers? Of course, let's begin with the flaws on the research design, problems on the manuscript organization, even the faulty results and discussion. And of course, if we have faulty results discussion, we cannot come up with good conclusion or recommendation. Eziala Nueke and Eziala in 2013 have studied that on the common errors in manuscripts submitted to journals in Asia and Africa, and show that out of 42 papers submitted and analyzed, they found crucial flaws in every section of the manuscript. 68% have problems in the introduction and results section. 86% have flaws in the material and method section, and 71% in the discussion section. So therefore, the errors are manifold and various. In my experience as a paper reviewer of Web of Science and Scopus journals, I usually look into these parameters, particularly on the method of the research gap that would eventually define the internationality of the paper, and most of all, to the conclusion and implications of our researches. And this has been a problem that even graduate school students taking masters and PhDs, and they have poured effort to come up with research, to come up with their thesis and dissertation, and eventually left in the corner, left in the shelves, and no one reads them. So therefore, the research is not being read, and that can be categorized as a file drawer problem. And the reason why we are publishing is to make our audience benefit from our research. The first speaker cited a while back that research should be utilized, and the purpose of research utilization should start from research dissemination. And that is one of the most important cycle of a research. It's just like the cycle of a butterfly that starts from the smallest organism, and a cycle of the butterfly until such time that you need to complete the cycle of the research from conception, from implementation, from doing all the analysis, from doing all the conclusion and doing the recommendation. And you should not stop there, but you should continue to publish your research. And ultimately, when your research will be cited or utilized, that is actually the thing that you have contributed much to the society. And I am talking now to the great scholars and students of the Department of Economics of Kristu Jayanti College, and soon to be a very great university where every student, faculty members, and of course the administration will be recognized as the leading university in India, having the highest number of research publication, research outputs generated, and having the research results being generated for the betterment of the Indian economy and the rest of the world. Let's move on. There are two very powerful publishing databases in the world. And these are actually the Thomson Reuters ISI, or we call it as the Web of Science, and the Scopus Elsevier Cyverse. These are the most powerful databases, indexing databases in the world, that when you have publication in these two major databases in the world, they can be recognized by the QS World University Ranking, Higher Education World University Ranking. And that defines the internationality, the global picture of our university to be compared with the rest of the world. And why these two databases are important? That is actually the reason. I know that much of you have publication in with this, and I would like also to especially recognize Professor Jahir Mukhtar, who has been this very diligent, very good scholar who always contacts me through this webinar workshop. And that is an indication that you need to go higher. You need to do something for the college in order to achieve its universityhood and in order to be recognized as an international university in the world or the rest of the countries. Thank you very much. So let's proceed with this, that this is not a new concept to you, but just a review that we have to check if the journal is Elsevier Scopus. That's very easy. You just go to www.scopus.com, then you go to search or author search. And when you go to this database, actually, I need to be very honest to you that when you go to this database and look at the countries having the most number of publications that contributed already to the economy are ranked based on these 10 countries. And the leading country is none other than the United States of America, followed by China, followed by Japan and other most powerful countries around the world. And of course, we do not forget the intellectual contribution of the country of India, because India and Philippines have very good relationship. We have so many Indian friends in our place and of course in our university. And once I see them, I realize our university is being loved by these beautiful souls of India. Congratulations. And with that, I'd like to emphasize that this sharing is a sharing of our knowledge, cross-border sharing, so that we can also develop our best practices. And together, our university, the Cagayan State University, will establish a stronger collaboration with your college, the Kristu Jayanti College of India. And going back to my presentation here, that you need to go to www.scopus.com, then you need to search the name of the journal. If you cannot find the name, you find the ISSN or ISBN of the journal. If the journal is searchable in this database, then you are safe. And the journal is being recognized by Scopus. Okay? Then for the next slide, where to find if the journal is Thomson Reuters ISI. Actually, Thomson Reuters ISI is now Clarivate Analytics, and this is the new name, and otherwise known also as the Web of Science. So you go to Web of Science Group Master Journal Lists and you search the name of the journal, even the ISSN, and you will be able to track the reputability of the journal. Now, this is the thing with the two powerful databases, that sometimes there are journals that can be found in these two databases, but you need to be aware that these journals are constantly doing evaluation. These databases, Scopus and Thomson Reuters, are continuously doing evaluation on the reputability of the journals being indexed. So whenever a certain journal of a university is indexed in Thomson Reuters and Scopus, you need also to update. You need also to submit reports. You need also to submit documentation as to the utilization and reputability of the journal. And most of all, when your journal is being indexed by this, it's already a recognized factor that your university having this journal has established already the link between science and concepts and reality. So remember that when one has publication with these two databases, definitely your career will be also recognized by your university and by your country, and no one becomes a full professor unless you have publications and citations in these two databases. If there are questions, you can just chat down in the chat box. Let me continue. Now, why do we publish in Scopus Elsevier? I'd like to emphasize that this is officially named as Cyber's Scopus and has introduced by Elsevier in November 2004 to the information market. And it is the largest database existing on the market for multidisciplinary scientific literatures, and covering 14 million records, including trade publications, open access journals, and even book series. And what is good with Elsevier Scopus is that it contains 20,500 peer-reviewed journals across different field of specialization from A to Z, from animal sciences, multi-education, social sciences. And it has actually 5,000 publishers together with 1,200 open access journals. These are journals that are, you need to pay for the publication fee before your article will be published. So we call them as open access journals. And of course, 600 trade publications, 500 conference proceedings, and 360 book series from all areas of science. And why Thomson Reuters ISI or Clarivate Analytics? It is known as the Web of Science and formerly as Thomson Reuters Institute of Scientific Information. Web of Science includes 10,000 journals and comprises of 7 different citations. Since Web of Science is the oldest citation database, it has a strong coverage with citation data and bibliographic data, which goes back to 1900. ISI stands for Institute for Scientific Information, now owned by Clarivate Analytics. Moving on. So where do we publish? Whether Scopus or Thomson Reuters. WoS and Scopus are powerful databases, and they provide different searching and browsing options. Now, whether you would like to publish in Scopus, whether you would like to publish in Thomson Reuters, it doesn't matter, because we have the saying, it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white. What is important, it can catch mice. I hope you can understand that quotation. So it doesn't matter, but there is a thing here that there are actually journals that are actually indexed in both databases. What's good with this is you have already published your article in this journal index in Scopus, as well as already indexed by Clarivate Analytics. And that gives you a name because we have so many journals. We have 1,000 journals having this kind of characteristics. So, but of course, let's go back to the policy of your university, to the policy of your Ministry of Higher Education, because they have guidelines on which or in what kind or quality of journals you will be publishing. Because I heard in India, they have ABCD indexing. They have also the the other one. I cannot recall the other one. We have the another powerful indexing, because different countries have also different preferences in indexing. But of course, when we talk of publication, definitely it should always be Scopus and as well as Web of Science. And of course, I am hoping that after this course, after this talk, all faculty members of the Department of Economics of Kristu Jayanti College, as well as the listening Filipino professors and instructors here will achieve higher ranking in their professional rank to become professors or full professors. Because in our country, in the Philippines, we put high regard to professors because they have much salary to get, and they are really wonderful because they have externally funded projects. They are involved with the different agencies in the government or even in international associations, and they get funding, and they are really having this high regard because they are one of the drivers for knowledge generation. And I commend those. Hopefully that after this talk, we hope that all professors or instructors of Kristu Jayanti will become full professors. And let's move on. So what makes them ISI and Scopus? Definitely, it's not easy to publish in these journals because they observe a strict referencing or refereeing process. Because your papers will be blind reviewed by experts. It depends upon your topic, or it depends upon the variables of your study. If that professor who is internationally known will be allowed or will be selected to review your paper, definitely you will not know who will review your paper. And from 2 to 4 referees, you should be proud when your paper is being reviewed by experts. That meaning to say, wow, you already contributed much because your paper already reached the desk of great experts and professors in the field. Referees are from the highest levels of publishers. And definitely, for ISI and Scopus, this is the general rule there that 50% acceptance rate. Not all papers being submitted to them are being accepted. But don't fear rejection. I myself had experienced rejection, and that eventually taught me, that eventually made me better and allowed me to learn from experts, to learn from their great comments and suggestions to improve the paper. Once your paper is submitted and you received the notice to revise, do not be sad. You should be very happy because your paper has already passed the scrutiny of the managing editor, already passed the scrutiny of the scope of the journal, and it already passed through one cycle of revision from experts. Be thankful with that and be proud. And the highest level of Scopus and ISI journals typically define the most original and important contributions in the field. And that's why whenever I review articles, I usually look at the research gap. It's not enough for a paper to be published if it only explains the problem that is happening in your own locality. There is what we call papers should be published because they have research gap. They have literature already reviewed that can already justify that there is a dearth of information to that topic. And we have this international in its context, and of course, as well as local in its relevance. So make your paper, establish its research gap first so that it will pass through the scrutiny of a strict refereeing process. I myself, when I do reviews of papers submitted to me or given to me by the different Web of Science and Scopus journals, I usually look first at the research gap. When you talk of poverty, when we talk of all of this, we have already established literature about this information. For example, for the Department of Economics, what is new in your field? What has not been found in your field? And that should be emphasized there. You start with that. You start with that concept, capitalize with that concept, and try to broaden the perspective. And eventually, it will have its relevance through the research gap. And most of all, publishing is a very good indicator that your research is considered for a significant contribution in the field or even in the subfield, particularly in economics. So with that, you need also to establish that research is not only and in the recommendation section, but it should continue until publication, until citation, until research utilization, so that whatever you have found in that research could eventually benefit the society. Most of all, could eventually benefit your university. Let's say your university provided funds to your specific proposed project, and the university would even ask, what output we can generate from your research that could eventually improve the processes and systems in our university. And that is actually the main and the basic question when we try to think of a title of our research. Think when we do research, there should always be an output or outcome. And publication is one only of the many expected outputs of your research. Moving on. So the journal quality level, what makes them high quality? Because it is trusted and respected by community it serves, definitely. But because when you have publication with this, you have citations with this in Scopus and Web of Science, wow, you are regarded in the field as an expert and you're respected in the community. Because we have our own communities. We have our scientific community, academic community, and the rest. Organized and run to high editorial and peer review standards, and the emphasis on the quality and trustworthiness of the content of your research, of your paper, and transparency of the process to authors and readers, evidence of utility to its community as seen in the citation metrics. Because when you publish in Scopus and Web of Science, the higher you will get citations from different countries. A trusted and respected publisher adhering to the publication ethics and definitely vetted by Scopus and Thomson Reuters. Now, there are actually questions, why publish? What does it mean to have publication? First, you publish because it's an indicator of your scholarly contribution. You have been teaching there in the university for almost 10 years, and they would ask, what systems or processes have you introduced from your research? And you have publications that could actually tell that you are a very good researcher in your university. We publish because it is requisite for grant funding. Once you have proposals for different agencies, they would actually check your profile. And once that they check your profile and they found out that you are a respected researcher in the field of economics, and the higher they will give, or the more likely they will give grant funding to your proposal. Third, a way to develop your reputation. Who are we in the university? We have been taught that we are different from the rest of the teachers, particularly those teaching in the basic education, in high school, because we are in the university, we are in the college, we have this reputation that we could do something, we can do something from our researches. It's also our scientific obligation and career progression, because we cannot be promoted to higher levels such as associate professor or full professor if we do not have publication, or if our names are not searchable in the Scopus database. So our goal here today is put all names of our faculty members, students of Kristu Jayanti College of India in Scopus database. And that could eventually tell that this college has already established a scientific reputation. And of course, what to publish are actually the questions. We publish new and original results or methods of our researches. That's why it's very important that students from graduate school, particularly those taking masters and doctorate, and when they are finished with their dissertation or thesis, it's good enough that it should be published because these are the new findings. There are also results that we call them original results. These are already the results generated from your researches, or even the methods you can use or you use in a certain study is publishable if you are capable to do a methodological review of your research methods. It doesn't only in this chapter that we do a review of related literature, but in all aspects of the papers should also have literature review. And that could eventually generate more publications. And expected that a certain PhD student should have to publish 3 articles from the thesis. First, the result generated from the thesis. Second, the method used in the thesis. And third, the systematic review or the literature review of the research. And that is actually 3 publications in 1 thesis or dissertation. Do it. Of course, we review the summaries of a particular subject. We do methodological, systematic review, analysis, and everything. In other universities in Europe and even in Malaysia, a student will not graduate unless he or she has to publish the results of her study. And a certain student should not or cannot proceed to data gathering of data unless the student can publish literature review of that topic. And that is actually a way to make a scientific and inquiring mind telling that before you do a research in a particular subject, in all aspects, you should be very knowledgeable of it, right? And of course, manuscripts that advance the knowledge and understanding in a certain field. The world is an open classroom. The world is full of doubts, full of false information, fake news. So from our research, what can we do with it? What can we do to advance the knowledge? What can we do to advance understanding in our field of specialization? Moving on. So what not to publish are definitely reports of no scientific interest. For example, research is already very common. So nothing can be found about it because it's already well studied. It's already obvious that this is actually the results of the study by many authors and already conducted a worldwide perspective of that topic or that problem of inquiry. Why publish more? Because it's already common and it may no longer have scientific interest. Second, out-of-date work. It's good that you should only publish fresh results from your data. 5 years is good, but 10 years to 20 years data gathered from your survey may no longer be accepted or applicable unless you are doing historical research. Okay, duplications of previously published. Sometimes it has been a problem that many authors already publish, then repack it again, then publish another. So the thing there might be unethical practice. See to it that when you publish, you should be able to justify, provide a good discussion and understanding to the particular variables. And of course, the incorrect or unacceptable conclusions. Because when we do research and we have this unacceptable conclusion, definitely we will generate recommendations from our conclusions. And when it's unacceptable, who will benefit from this research? Will you do wrong recommendations? Instead of making our communities improve their way of living, you did a very wrong recommendation from your wrong conclusion that could actually make them poorer instead of improving your way of life, improving your status of living, particularly those economics researchers here. What can we do? So see to it that when we talk of research, it is a scientific process. You go back to the science of the processes we do. Okay? So these are actually the thing here. I will not make this long. Being published means it's permanent. Your paper is available for the rest of your life unless Google or internet will be destroyed. So your name will appear in Google, where your name will appear in many databases of the internet. Your paper is being improved because it passed through the rigors of doing revisions given by editors, reviewers, and even proofreaders. Your paper is actively promoted because it becomes available to a far greater audience. Go to Google Scholar and put the name of Dr. Jahir there and search, and I will find many articles published by Dr. Jahir. That is actually an indication that your paper is being read by not only the Indian audience, but being read by the rest of the world, coming from the different continents of the world. And that makes a very good international researcher. And this is a good tip. You cannot become an international researcher if you have not been cited by authors from different countries of the world. You can only become a local researcher when you tell to your students, "Oh, my dear students, you cite my researches." And all your researches are all your citations will only come from India. So that is actually becoming a local researcher. But if your paper is being cited by Americans, British, Europeans, Africans, and other nationalities, you will become an international researcher. And of course, your writing is trustworthy because it carries the quality assurance of the journal, worthy of publication. Okay? So now, Types of articles being published, that's according to Wiley Publishing House in 2014. Synthesis articles, these are actually the synthesized information, because a synthesis article would have 250 to 500 articles being synthesized, and this is actually a systematic review. And it's good that before we let our students do a research, we should always require them to do a literature review first, read information first about the topic to justify the problem. For example, if your problem is on water crisis, right? You go to Google Scholar, go to different big libraries, big electronic databases, and look, what are the theories about water shortage or water crisis? What are the economics perspective of water crisis? What are the economic implications of water crisis? And that could eventually give you an idea to develop your theories and your model to perform your research. Research articles are actually the results of your gathered data. Clinical articles, when you are in medical courses or doing case studies, and for clinical articles, it could also be applicable for economists like you. No? What are the economics of COVID-19? What are the economics of COVID-19, of education in COVID-19? What are the problems on the shortage of PPEs and other vaccines and other, what are really the problems? So you can do clinical articles here, you can write clinical articles. Others would prefer also to put discussion articles, because discussion articles could provide more interventions or recommendations about the topic based from the results of the study. And of course, case studies. So case study on poverty, particularly during online learning among our students, you can do case studies about this, because case study is done through a qualitative frame, through a qualitative research design. Okay, so this is actually what I have cited a while back, that publication strategies can, in one research, you can do 3 publications, literature review, publish that one, the method of your article, publish that one, and the results of your research can be publishable, and that's actually one. So in one research study or project, you can generate 3 publications. Be sure that you need to do it. So there is what we call an ethical practice being done, and this is what we call the Salami Publication. Salami Publication is a matter of publishing data, and as you can see, we have this sausage actually, or a ham, that is being chopped very thinly. And we hope that we do not treat our research articles like this, our research results like this. It's salami actually. So if you have this good research project and chop that into thin slice and publish all of this one, or in one research project, you can have 20 publications. That is what we call salami slicing. And that is what unethical in publication. See to it that when you publish, you need also to provide a thorough and deep understanding and analysis on the issue or on the problem of inquiry. So therefore, scientific data and advancing scientific knowledge in one thin slice at a time is not acceptable. Okay, that's actually a common problem among scholars. Okay, next. So now there are 3 types of journals wherein you can publish. The limited access journals are actually the Scopus and Web of Science journals that publish your articles, but they do not ask for publication fee, because when one will read your article published in that specific journal, that person, that scholar, would be able to subscribe or pay for the article. So that's actually limited access. And for open access journals are actually the journals that are publishing free publication. No. I'm so sorry. Open access journals are the journals that are actually publishing your articles, but actually they get APC or article processing charge from you. We call this as the publication fee. Because if you are the author, you need to pay the journal so that the journal will publish that one for worldwide consumption. Meaning to say, all the people can read your article, can have access to your article, and it's free for them. But of course, if you are the author, you need to pay. And of course, the predatory journals or clone journals that are existing now, particularly today, because there are so many journals that are predatory, even clone journals. You know, this is very common. A friend of mine has been a victim of clone journals. She thought that the journal was really the Scopus index journal, because as he checks in the website of the journal, it appears that this is the same ISSN, this is the name, and they also provide the link of the journal in the database. So he was encouraged to publish. But upon thorough review and investigation, the journal is a clone journal. So beware of this, because there are so many people doing this one and destroying the credibility of science. Science should benefit the people and should be done properly. Okay, so for publishers in Index in Scopus, 10% were those from the Elsevier. Okay, but these are all Scopus. 10% of this come from Elsevier, and 5% from Wiley, 5% from Taylor, 2% from Sage, Walters Kluwer with 1%, Emerald 1%, Oxford 1%, Inter Science 1%, Cambridge University 1%, Bentham Science 1%, and IEE 1%. So they are all Scopus, but we have only few Scopus Elsevier. But it doesn't matter whether it's Scopus Elsevier or Scopus Oxford, as long as it's Scopus, you can also get what you deserve. Okay, so now Professor Ranjit Singh asked this question: where to check for Web of Science if the article is indexed or not by Web of Science? I already provided this one. Go to www.mjl.com. MJL means Master Journal List for Clarivate Analytics. Okay? Sir, what if the research topic is something new and has no article in it? What can we add to our literature review? Wow, you must have been the pioneer of that research. And if there is no such literature about the topic, perhaps that is a unique knowledge and you can establish yourself as an expert of that field and do more, write more. But believe me, in all aspects, because many authors have come before us, many great authors have come before us, and they have already established theories, principles, laws, topics about this. There will be a very good literature for that. Believe me, there will always be a very good literature for that. It's not actually an exact topic about it, but it might be a related literature. Believe me. Okay, so proceed. So if I were the reviewer of your research, I look for the originality of the paper. Originality does not only speak of the plagiarism percentage of your paper, the similarity index, but it also speaks on the relevance of your research to the existing knowledge. When we do research on the economics of education, many have already publications on the impact of COVID to education as to its resources, implementation initiatives, and so on and so forth. But what is new with that? What is the originality of that concept that you are proposing? Perhaps new about the topic, or originality as to the utilization of the method. You combine 3 or 4 methods in your research, and that actually establish triangulation, and you will generate better results. It could also be in your research methodology, because research is for science, science is for scientific process. We go back to the methodology of your research. Are the conclusions valid and objective? Your research methodology can be seen as a good research methodology when it can be replicated. And when it's being replicated, it will yield different or similar results that is actually valid and reliable. Okay, clarity and structure quality of writing, definitely it's an advantage for those language professors or English language professors in your university. They can do good writing. But what we establishing right now is partnership and collaboration. Definitely, an economics professor may not be good in writing. So he or she may collaborate with language teachers. Sound and logical progression of argument, theoretical and practical implications, even the recency and relevance of your references. We need to look at the relevance and recency of your references. Do not cite studies already conducted 50 years ago unless you are doing historical research, right? But if that happens, that is the only literature that could justify your research, that is good. I'd like to cite you an example. For example, this is the statement. Mining has been found to have detrimental effect to the environment. Mining has been found to have detrimental effect to the environment. Author 1969, author 1972, author 1982, author 1991, author 2010, author 2015, author 2016, author 2017, author 2021. That will make the research very good. Why? Because since 1960s, mining has been found to have detrimental effect to the environment. It is not only justified by the latest literature, but of course, by the literature 2 decades or 3 decades past. So when you put literature that are actually old enough, be sure that you need also to include literature that are new or authors who cited that this is actually the findings across the years. So that will establish a good justification of your research. And of course, do not forget that there should be adherence to the scope and objectives of the journal. If the journal is on economics, submit economics articles. Okay, it's a very basic thing to do. So what are the timetable for submission with initial feedback? Approximately, it depends upon, it depends upon the schedule of the journal, whether they will do 1 week review, they will do approximately 2 weeks or one month for the reviewers to do the review. So it depends upon the thing, because there are also journals that are fast published in nature. Fast published means these are the journals that publishes more than what we expected, because they do rapid approach when doing a review. But of course, it's equality. We do not say that when we talk of fast published journals here, they do not have quality. No, it depends upon the process and policy of the journal. So very good. If you will receive revision in your papers later on, congratulations. Do not panic, because even the comments are sharp or discouraging, they are not personal, because you will not know who reviewed your paper. No, it's not actually intended to you as a researcher, but intended only for the paper for improvement. Okay, so the rigorous process of publication, for example, you submitted 100%, 48 will be okay, 28 will be revised, and 24 will be rejected. And from that okay percentage, we have the first review will go 66%, and from that revised, 10% may withdraw because of the comments given. Then until such time that from 100, it will become 29%. So it actually a process. But do not surrender. Just do your part as a researcher. Just revise it. If you think that the reviewer would actually give you really a very different reviews, then try to justify your claim. I am not saying that you need to argue, but you just stated that this might be the most effective method for my research seems because of the following reasons. So just state it in declarative form. Do not quarrel with them. Do not argue with them much. Just present what do you think is the most appropriate. Okay, so how to revise your paper? Definitely acknowledge them, provide clarity of understanding, consult with your colleagues, meet the revision deadline. Okay, so if your paper is rejected, ask why and listen carefully. Try again and don't give up. So going back to what makes a good manuscript, I already presented this one in the first slide, that there are many flaws across the IMRAD, across introduction, methods, research, and discussion. So what makes a good researcher is should be clear, useful, exciting, and has scientific message. Flaws in a logical manner that the reader can follow. It is formatted to best showcase the material. Even when you use figures or pictures, tables, it should always be properly formatted based on the journal's journal policy. And it is written in style that transmits the message clearly. When you publish, it doesn't mean that you need to write this in a very highfalutin process. See to it that as much as possible, make your paper readable. Because there are journals, before accepting a paper, they need to run this into a software called readability software. Because in that readability software, they will identify the level of readability of your paper, whether it can be understood by a professor similar to your field, it can be understood by a student learning or studying economics, or even it can be understood by a simple farmer who is interested to learn more from economics. Okay? So general structure of a full article is being structured this way. Okay, I will answer the questions presented in the chat box afterwards. Let me present to you the general structure of a full article. We have the title of the article, followed by the author. And see to it that when you put the authors in the article, there is no such limitations as to the number of authors in the paper, as long as you can justify that all the people you wrote as authors in the article have significantly contributed in the conduct and implementation of the research. That is acceptable. But if you write people who are not authors of that research, that might be unethical. Particularly for research like sciences, particularly for research like the new thing here right now, researches on researches like vaccine, like the one that is being published by Nature. When you go to Nature journal, that's actually the most powerful journal in the world, the Nature journal. It's not, you cannot actually find article with a single authorship. Articles have multiple authorship. And it's also good that when you do a research, collaborate with other nationalities. That could also establish global dimension of your research, wherein you let people to be your co-authors and collaborators. Of course, see to it that you share the same discipline, you share expertise with the author so that you can actually do something new for that study, for that problem of inquiry. I have a friend who already established international collaboration. In one article, he tapped many experts across the world. Authors from India, authors from Indonesia, Malaysia, authors from Europe, authors from Africa, and authors from South America and North America. And it's very good research because the method they did is that they reviewed the tool, the questionnaire for that research, and they established inclusion criteria for participants, and they floated the questionnaire in their countries. And you know what happened? The research provided a very significant implications because it has something to share that across borders and across countries, this is somewhat happening in India, in Africa, but it's a similar problem. So a good research topic. So as to the number of authors, there is no limitations, as long as you can justify that they have contributed significantly in the conduct of the study. Of course, the abstract is actually 250 words. Do not forget that. And of course, the keywords are actually very important. The keywords can be the variables of your research, or keywords can be the name of your countries. Okay, and of course, the main text, which we call it as IMRAD. And IMRAD stands for Introduction, Methods, Results, and Discussion Conclusion. And of course, the acknowledgement, references, and other supplementary materials. Moving on. So there are things you need to learn from this: developing your title, an opportunity to attract readers' attention. So see to it that your title is catchy. There is a trend here in our country that we call titles that are sexy titles, because once it's being read, you will have a good thought that, wow, this is somewhat a very interesting article. So, but of course, see to it that it should be informative and concise, and it does not provide technical jargons. And when you do a title for a study, discuss it with your co-authors. Moving on. So as to the abstract, definitely here is 50 to 300, but the general rule for Scopus and Web Science is actually maintain 250 words. You must be accurate and specific. And the abstract is strongly influenced whether or not your work is further considered. As to the keywords, as to the number of keywords, there is no such thing as limitation, as long as see to it that the major variables of your study are reflected in the keywords. And as to the introduction, this is actually the thing. We start with the global to the regional perspective of your research. So when we write and when we publish, we need also to do a literature review about the topic. And from the topic, you need to look, this has been the data coming from UNESCO, coming from World Health Organization, coming from IMF, International Monetary Fund, coming from this international bank. That is actually establishing a global perspective, going to the regional, to your context, to your local context. Describe the problem. And from introduction, when we talk of research article publication, the introduction is already, what we can already see in the introduction are already the research gaps of the study. Because when we write article, we have limitations as to the number of words. It can be 7,000 words or 5,000 words. Okay, so as the pitfalls of the introduction, too wordy, do not use mixed introduction, do not use excessive in expression. As to the method section, a good way for a starting researcher like you is also do a literature review of the method. For example, use cross-sectional survey method, qualitative method, phenomenological qualitative research design, and other forms of data. Joint display analysis, mixed methods research. Provide a specific detail for your method. A knowledgeable reader should be able to reproduce the experiment. See to it that when you put in the methodology, they can perform the experiment in their own way based from your methodology written in the article. And that's what qualifies a very good method. And use references and supplementary materials, previously published procedures, or reviewers will criticize your incomplete or incorrect description. As to the results is based on the arrangement of your research objectives. Only representative results are seen there, and tell a clear and easy to understand story of your results. And it's also good that you need to compare the results or the findings in your research with other existing findings coming from previous authors. And of course, the appearance counts. Why? Because when we provide data or table in our article, it should also be seen as easy to read. Not really somewhat difficult to understand, even your graphs, even your tables, even your figures. So see to it that it will be clear. Particularly for you doing research in economics, definitely you will need graphs or tables about the profits, net income, about the representation of dollars to Indian denomination, see to it that it will be clearly read or understood by readers. And of course, your discussion says the results. And you need to compare the published results with yours. And it is the most important section of your article that you need to have a chance to sell your data to the people, to the scholars, to your comrades, to the people who have similar specialization to you. And it's a good way that many manuscripts are rejected because their discussion is weak. Weak discussion may not contribute to something new. See to it that when you write your discussion based from the objectives of the study, it should be very informative, as well as the implication is there and inferences are there. Okay? Then this one, do not ignore work in disagreement with yours. It's also good that in your discussion, you confront people, you confront authors, and convince the reader that you are correct or better. So meaning to say, a good way is comparing the results of your study to the previous study results. And other pitfalls that you should be aware of is statements that go beyond what the results can support, telling that your paper is something new, and yet there are already studies conducted that are about the topic. So these are actually the people who are doing hyperbole in research. Sudden introduction of new terms or ideas that has not been presented in the introduction. And speculations and possible interpretations are allowed, but this should be rooted in fact rather than the imagination. Check the organization, number, and quality of illustration, the logic, and even the justification. Revision of results and discussion is not just a paperwork. You may need to do further experiments, derivations, or simulations. Sometimes you cannot clarify your idea in words because some critical items have not been studied substantially. Okay? So as to your conclusion, hoping that you can package your paper later on very well. Tell how your work advances field from the present to the state knowledge, from the present state of knowledge. What clear conclusion? Because reviewers and readers will find it difficult to judge the work and whether or not merits the publication in the journal. Do not repeat the abstract or just like list experimental results. Provide clear scientific justification for your work and indicate possible applications and extension. Should also suggest to future experiments or point out those that are underway. Okay, moving on. Acknowledgement is also good. Remember that when you publish your research, all people that have contributed to your research should be acknowledged. They can be your advisors, they can be your financial supporters, even your proofreaders, even your typists, or even the one who provided funds for you to get supplies. Okay? And references. This is one of the most important concerns here, that references cite the main scientific publication is when your work is based, and avoid too many citations. See to it that all the references you cite in your paper should be relevant and adequate. Okay? Now, this is actually the global suggest potential reviewers, of course, when you submit your paper. And the global trends in research in publication. First, review of related literature is supposed to be in the introduction section. And this has been the problem. Because in the introduction section, we just talk about the problem, we just talk about the situation in the setting, but have we done a literature review of this one that is already synthesized and can justify the research gap? Second, establish author intimacy requirement. For example, you are doing a study on economics with this macrofinancing. Do you have any experts or international authors who are already published similar to that concept of microfinancing? Establish author intimacy requirement is a way wherein you get the email ad of that author, you chat that author, talk with that author, and it's good that if that author can provide a review of your research. Okay? Then, of course, use tools or technology tools as aids in ensuring the publishable research articles. And see to it that we do not live alone, but we need also people. We need also co-authorship across different countries to establish impact of our research. And these are actually the global trends. Now let's proceed. Important reminder is that half of your references should be from high impact online journals coming from Scopus and the Thomson Reuters or Clarivate Analytics. And that is the #1 criteria there. The more references, the more credible your article would be if you're really capable to do a synthesis of the topic. Okay? And what are the good characteristics of a good reference? First, cite references that are online, that can be accessed online. Because if your references can be accessed online coming from Scopus and database, the more likely your paper will be published. And of course, the author quality, look at the quality of the author. How many publications does this author have? How many citations? Where did this author publish? Did the author publish in Thomson, Scopus, or what other reputable indexing? Journal impact. Am I citing the journal substantially with proper citation? And of course, the impact of your article. Okay, next. I would like to show you this database on the publish and perish database that is actually available in the internet. You just type publish or perish, and one way to see if the author is actually an internationally claimed author about that field. Okay, so this publish or perish database is, we call this as Harzing because it was developed by Anne Will Harzing, a professor of international management. And a good way to understand if the author is well published or not. So download this one for free. Harzing publish or perish 5.23.16146. And you just type the name, the proper name of the author there. And eventually, this database will provide you how many papers does this author publish about the topic. So as you can see, Anne Harzing has published 119 papers, and she has a citation years of 21 from 1995 to 2016. So from this is actually covering 21 years of being an expert in the field. And the publication years is 1997 to 2017, and she has an H index of 49, that's actually very high, G index of 105, high index of 40, and of course, thousands of citations. So download this one so that you can also have a better way to see if the authors you are citing are expert or have this credibility to review your paper. Okay, next. This is what I'm talking about. Establish real author intimacy requirement. If an expert in India about flexible learning can be tapped to be a partner of an expert in the Philippines on flexible learning, that is a very good collaboration. Okay, what are the kinds of articles to be cited? The first thing you need to cite when you do a paper for publication should be review articles. Why review articles? Review articles, also known as synthesis paper, have actually synthesized 250 to 1,000 researches about the topic. And they can evenly provide you, a very good research gap of your study. So see to it, allow your students, allow your teachers to do a review articles first before you write the introduction. That's what I have cited a while back. What are the, if I am doing a review articles and I would like to write a topic on mining, the economics of mining. What are the theories on the economics of mining? What are the studies already published about mining in India? What about the studies published about mining in Southeast Asia? studies published about mining in Indonesia or in other continents of the world. Until such time you can establish a good global perspective of your research. So it is global in perspective, but the application of your research is applicable in your local perspective. And that is the term we coin as glocal. Okay? As to the methodology articles, publish also the articles that look also to the articles that have used similar method you are using. Because how can you become an expert of your research if you just only follow the method being told by somebody, not even doing a review of the articles used? Because in reviewing the articles, you will have an idea what are the strengths and weaknesses of that research method, what are new with that research methods, what are the criteria and inclusion criteria for selecting participants using that method. And of course, research articles or the researches that are presenting research findings are more likely to get citation. Okay? So literature review improves your understanding, builds your expertise in the field, demonstrate knowledge, and update the reader on the state of the art. Okay, what are the strategies for doing literature review? First, use Google Scholar and analyze rapidly all publications you found. Second, use keywords and make a literature review matrix. I will make it fast because I have appointment at 2:30. Please. And put all of these in a matrix so that you can easily do a synthesis. You can easily do a perspective as to how many articles on the topic have used descriptive correlational, cross-sectional, and other kinds of methods. So it summarizes the articles you read in several points. And it's good that when you do a literature review matrix, present a tabular form in the following: number, reference, study parameter, focus, gaps, and findings. I'd like to show you this one. This is actually a sample of literature review matrix. How many articles have you downloaded from Google Scholar or from other powerful databases? 6. So if you have 6, you have 6 references there. Put the title in the second table. What are the parameters and variables studied? Put that in the third table. What are the focus of the research? Put that on the table. What are the research gaps identified by these researchers? Put that in the table. And what are the findings? And certainly, you can get an idea as to how can I properly implement a research similar to them or a research that is related to them. Okay? Okay, do not also, you may also use annotated bibliography if you are a teacher and you do not have laptop. But you can also do an annotated bibliography, print all the references you get about the topic, and arrange the articles based on chronological order. From 2010 to 2021, these are the articles about the economics of water crisis. You can also arrange the articles on geographical regions. Okay, we have 3 articles in North America, 2 articles in Asia, 5 articles in Europe, and they are telling similar trends and patterns as to the economics of water crisis. And of course, on research questions. It's good also that if you can print all the articles there, put them inside the folder, color code the folder, like this one. Folder 1 is good to justify research problem number 1. Folder color 2, it's good to justify research problem number 2. Similar with research problem 3 or 4. So if you have 5 research problems in your research, you must have 5 folders, and in each folder, you have already printed articles about the topic. And that, believe me, you can become a very good researcher. And write also annotated bibliography there, right? This article number 1 is good to justify the findings in problem number 1. If the null hypothesis is accepted or rejected in that way. So highlight also the past researches. It can also be from 2008 to present. And that as a way of using annotated bibliography. Now, when you write a literature review analysis, summarize sources and provide transitional connection between each group and highlight past researches. Connect the review analysis with your research. Okay, let's move on to the technology-based tools. I have published an article regarding this one for journal publication. First is, you know about the publish or perish. You know about plagiarism scan, you know about grammar checker, your readability test tool, citation generator, Zotero and Vivo, and even Google Translate. Okay, so the first thing is the plug scan. So if your paper has more than 15%, it's more likely not being accepted. But if your paper has a similarity index of 10%, below 10%, the higher your paper might be accepted. And because in your university, I think, hello, Professor Jahir. Professor Jahir, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have Turnitin in your university?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow, that's actually very good. One way to enhance the research culture of your university. I hope you can also share me a slot for your Turnitin so that I can also personally use it.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you. Okay, next. You need also to have Grammarly. You have also Grammarly in your university, Professor Jahir? You have Grammarly checker?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, so anyway, if it's not free for it's not available in your university, one can have subscription of this, or you can use the free version. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, other one is the Flash Index. This is actually a way to measure the readability of your research. You run your paper to this Flash Index software. Actually, you have free, and they will tell if your paper is easy to read or very difficult to read. Okay, and you found that your paper is very difficult to read, then you do simple revision. Make the words more understandable to the ones who will be reading your paper. It does not mean that when you do a publication, is the only one who will read your paper will be the people who have similar level of knowledge with you or similar specialization. See to it that your paper can be understood by anyone or anybody. The other one is a HES check. We call it as a readability test tool. Okay? And if you are not fond of using this citation, what is already the one being used today, that's actually inside the MS Word of your computer. I forgot it, but if you'd like to use this online free, you can use the citation generator there. We have the citation machine. Okay, so as what we have said, a review while papers are rejected. First, technical screening of the journal. Table, figure are not complete. Not within the aim and scope. The defective procedure. Conclusion is not based on the paper. Incomprehensible language, structure, and figure. Lack of novelty or the research gap. And no significant or practical contribution to the body of knowledge. Okay. In the paper manuscript, the expectation is that half of the sources should be research review articles. Okay. For example, you go to Google Scholar and you are doing an economics of fisheries in your region. And you go to Google Scholar, you type fisheries review articles. And the data would appear 1,010 million results about fisheries review articles in just 0.09 seconds. Imagine that. And if you are a researcher and doing a review of this, you could actually get references. So you start with the review articles on fisheries, economics of fisheries, and you have this many references with the 1,010,000. And what is good with this, even when you do a climate change review articles, it will also appear 3,610,000 results in just 0.10 seconds. So that's how powerful Google Scholar is. And what's good also with Google Scholar is that you can sort the year. So the custom range from 2010 to 2021, just click in here. And it will, all articles that you customize from 2010 to 2021 will appear in your screen. Okay. So one review article analyzes more than 250 paper articles. And there are two basic outputs in research articles, or research review articles synthesize already what has been discovered in the field. And it also defines what has not been discovered in the field, or simply the gap in the literature. Do not forget to use your literature review matrix I presented a while back and get the gap in the literature. And the trend today is that in journal publication, the beginning of research is not actually the problem, but the beginning of the research is the gap in literature. Let's say, oh, this is the problem we experience in our locality or in our community. Yes, that is actually the problem. But when you publish that one and somebody, an editor or a reviewer would try to review that one, the reviewer would say, it should be justified with the gap in literature. Because believe it or not, in all aspects of our living, it has been studied. We have so many studies or scientific findings that could back up everything around us. And we are very thankful to those researchers who have come before us because they have already started something that we could also continue for something. Okay, next. Again, it's also good that when you do a review matrix, you need also to put the dimensions of your research as to continental dimensions. So what are the studies about climate change in Europe? In Europe, there are around 3,310,000 results. Imagine that. How could you synthesize this? In Africa, in South America, and other countries. Okay. For the technology-based referencing tools for paper publication, this is actually the thing. The number of references from respected global journals increases the chance of paper acceptance for publication. That's why do not just get any reference coming from the printed books or anything. But see to it. No, I'm not saying that it's prohibited to get references from books, but see to it that these are really books that could really provide a very well justified research gap of your study. Okay. Okay, let me finish this one in 20 minutes, please. Okay, because I have an appointment. Okay, so there are tips for writing and references. Take clear, accurate notes about where you found the specific ideas. Write down complete citation information and use quotation marks when directly stating another person's work, and always credit original works for the information and ideas. It is a bad practice that when somebody is copying en toto from one article to another and put the name of the author, that is actually a bad practice because that can be detected by a plagiarism scanner. See to it that when you rephrase that one and you get the idea from the author, rephrase that in your own word wherein you are confident to write that in a language, in your English language, then put the name of the author, that is better. And the plagiarism scan would not detect it. Okay. Now, okay, for online tools for methodological review, I'd like to show this one. We have talked a while back about Google Scholar. So it could be a very good source of information wherein you can get many references. Okay, I already presented this one. It's also good that you need to go to LiveGen. Okay, LiveGen. You go to LiveGen. I'd like to walk you through the process. Okay, this is actually the thing. Okay, I'm showing to you. Okay, Professor Philip, can you give me a topic that you are interested in the economics of whatsoever there? Kindly provide me a topic, please.
Informal sector.
Informal settlers. Okay. So go to Library Genesis and click informal settlers. Okay.
Sector.
Informal sectors. Sorry. Okay. So in LiveGen, it shows that there is this very good research by Delgado about the partnership for malaria control engaging the informal and informal private sectors, and it's actually a review. And the other one would actually provide you more. Oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't able to. You click that one, okay, and it will appear this way. Okay, so it's in English and everything. You might be interested to read about this one, to read about the topic here. Okay, so that you can also get good information. And what is good with this is you can download this one, you can do anything, okay, that you think you can use it very well. Okay, and that is actually the link. So, you know, LiveGen is just one of the many important database wherein you can get information to justify the problem in your research. Okay, so let me do it very fast. Second, please take note of these databases so that you will later explore this and learn from this independently. I know you will do it because you would like to publish your research in these journals. Okay, moving on. Okay, another one is go to Z Library articles. Okay, another one that is also very interesting to use is the Semantic Scholar, a very powerful database like Scopus also, like Google Scholar, wherein you can get good references. And what is good with Semantic Scholar, it will provide where the paper has been cited. So just create your account in Semantic Scholar and do a very good review of literature there. The other one is in Sage Journals. These are actually a very good. I have publications here. The Sage Journal is really it's really pricey because they call this a gold APC or article processing charge, but worth that it because after 1 month you will get many citations of your paper. Okay, so go to Sage Journal and put the topic here in the search engine. Okay, you have also to get references from Taylor and Francis online. Just put the keywords, the authors, or whatever you would like to find out. Then in Elsevier, even in the Elsevier database, you can also get articles and informations from this. What also good is the UCLA library. Get this one so that you can get information. Okay, it's in America. Okay, next, get also information, particularly in studying economics. You can get more information on Asian Development Bank. Okay. Biomedicalcentral.com, that if you would like to do a research on economics and merging it with the COVID-19 issues that has been found through the experiments that or clinical trials conducted on the different vaccines, control mechanisms and practices, knowledge and attitudes. A good way is go to biomedcentral.com. This is also good, the directory of open access journals. Okay, I'd like to show you this one very shortly. The directory of open access journals. Open access journals. Okay, sorry. Do not put directory of open access journals, doj.com. Okay, so I am showing to you the directory of the open access journals here. Okay, can you see it? Okay, so click on the articles, click on the title. You might be interested to look on the title. Okay, for example, can you give me a topic that you would like to study? Professor Jasprit Kaur, Dr. Jasprit, are you with me?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, can you give me a topic that you would like to explore?
Yes, sir. Economics of healthcare.
Economics of
Healthcare.
Okay, let's try to look what are the studies titles that have that bears economics of healthcare, and click search. Okay, a professor, it shows that there are 4 studies titled about this economics of healthcare, relevance of health economics to Indian healthcare system, a perspective. But this was actually in 2015. This can be used also as an important input to your research if you are doing an economics healthcare of COVID-19. In 2015, again, we have this healthcare economics for medication for prostate, economics of healthcare personnel shortage in UK, and more. Okay, what it's also good there is you can click here on the subjects. Okay, so let's try to seek economics. Okay, economics, because in economics you have so many field and subfields. That could be economic biology, okay, agricultural economics. You can also be economics of the environment and so on. So many information we can generate from this. Okay, so thank you very much, Professor. Let's move on. I need to make it very fast so that we can also attend to my meeting today. You can also use the National Bureau of Economic Research. So get this one and get information from this. Okay. So National Bureau of Economic Research. We have also the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. A very good way, right, to get information. Social Science Network, or SSRN, you can get references from these. Okay, or if you are interested, have you been here in the Philippines? Any participants who have been here in the Philippines? Nobody? Nobody have been here in the Philippines? No one has been here in the Philippines? Hope you can come here in the Philippines, not today, not tomorrow, but until COVID-19 will be gone. Okay, so that we will not be infected by these different variants of COVID. I hope that everyone is here.
Virtually here, sir.
Okay, thank you. Here in the Philippines, we fear now that we have already the Delta and the Lambda variant, and it's really very somewhat that's really very alarming. Okay, so Philippine e-journal. But I would just like to present to you how this Philippine e-journal work. Okay, so go to the Philippine e-journal, and if I think you are interested with technology, put that in Google search, in the search engine, and technology, and it shows that there are around 13 journals on technology, 616 journals on articles on technology, and 497 authors. So here are the articles, and if you click on the article level, it will show you the articles, the journals here. Sorry, journals. And if you click on the author, it will give the name of the authors. Okay, for example, you would like to get this one, Impact Analysis of Technology Assessment Refinement through Institution Village Linkage Program. You might need to read the abstract and you think related to your study. Okay, click on the citation generator this way. Then this will appear, citation generator. Click on generate, and you have different citation styles, APA, MLA, Turabian. It's up to you. If your dean or your professor would tell you use APA, then click on APA. Okay, and you click that, then this citation will appear. You just need to copy this one in your MS Word. Okay, and even to Rabian. Of course, I hope this has been a very short talk. I could have been give you more intensive, really intensive talk about research writing on publication, methodology, writing methodology review, submitting procedure of your publication. But what I have shared to you this morning are the tips so that you can initially start doing your articles. Of course, I'd like to greet you. Happy writing, and Lord Jesus Christ bless everyone. Okay, Professor, thank you very much. I would like to encourage questions coming from you.
Thank you, sir. We are indeed honored to have heard from you the words of wisdom. Your investment in knowledge has paid the best interest. Thank you for your valuable insights on the subject. Now the session is open. Thank you, sir. Now the session is open for queries. You can post your questions in the chat box.
Okay. If you have questions, please raise your question so that I could also address them. Anyone who would like to ask me a question? I hope this has been a very productive encounter with you and with me so that we could start good partnership. How I wish that next session that I will be invited to be your speaker, I will be talking more on citation because all of you already published researches. All of you have already did your share for knowledge.
There is a question in the chat.
Hello,
box.
Professor.
There is a question in the chat box.
Okay. There are questions here in the chat box. Professor Jumol, would you like to read the questions in the chat box?
Yeah,
Please.
sure, sir, sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so there is a question. So the question is, sorry for the disturbance. Sir, I'll say the question now. What if the research topic is something new and has no articles on it yet? What can we add to our literature review?
Okay. A very good question, which I thought I already addressed a while back. If there are no literature about the topic, perhaps you are new in the world. You are already doing a research that has not been discovered before. So with that, with literature that has no literature at all, a research that has no literature at all is actually a novel knowledge, and you might be a recipient of Nobel Peace Prize because these are actually the criteria in selecting recipients of Nobel Peace Prize and other distinguished awards from international scientific community. So with that, the suggestion here is just continue with the study, enhance this, and you will really get information. You will really get good citation from this. Because as far as to my encounter, in my experience, this is for me, I'm referring to myself. I have not seen any research that has been published that is actually without literature. But I encourage you, if what topic is that? So do you think, I would like to ask the author, what do you think, sir, what topic is all about that it has, do you think it has no literature at all?
Sir, good afternoon.
Okay. What might be that topic that you think has no literature at all? Let me sip my coffee, please. Okay. So the suggestion here is as long as I would like to get the name of the one who raised the question, sir, and it's really an interesting way so that we could also talk and let's do something about this and try to think try to do something about these studies that has no literature at all. Thank you. Okay, what else? Professor Jumol?
Participants, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box. It
Yeah.
might be difficult to hear.
Can I ask a small question, please?
Yes,
Yeah, sure,
Professor
sir,
Sankar.
please.
Hi, Dr. Gilbert. How are you?
I'm fine, Professor Sankar.
Actually, I have a doubt. Actually, it's not a doubt. I want to take your opinion on this. Is this a myth in the recent times that if you write more of review papers, it is getting accepted very soon? What is your opinion on this? Instead of we go for the empirical study or we go for some of the research works, if you go for more review works, it will be accepted very soon. Is it what I feel is it's a myth or something which is actually happening? Because when I start writing the review papers, it's the acceptance rate is very high compared to the normal papers. What is your opinion on this? Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Jayanti Sankar, congratulations for having written methodological review articles. It's in fact that many journals are really looking for these researches. These are the dirt researches that almost nobody would like to write because of its tedious and rigorous process of doing a review paper. But I salute you, sir, for having written such one. And you already observed that you already get high acceptance of the paper. Yeah, I admit that really, what actually these journals are looking are the knowledge that are something new. And knowledge that are something new can be easily generated from doing review of related literature and articles. That's why many journals are accepting at a high rate these papers that are published, these authors who are submitting papers doing methodological review. That's my idea. So I myself would like to, in fact, I have not written any methodological review paper, but it's really a good way because whenever I submit my paper, the author would always ask me, where is the research gap? The research gap can only be seen in the review of related literature or in the synthesis of the study. And it's a good way for everyone to start with the publication of review of related literature. Thank you.
So there is a question in the chat box. How do we select the right journal from the long list of journals in Scopus?
Okay. This is just a last thing to provide. Okay, if I would like to www.mjl. Okay, let me walk you through the process of this one. This can be a bonus lecture for everyone. This can be a bonus lecture for everyone. Can you see my slide, please? Okay,
No, sir.
Okay, let me start with this. Okay, this is actually the database for Web of Science. Okay, can you see here the match manuscript? Can you see here the match manuscript? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
we have
sir,
the manuscript there. Sorry, this laptop is not really does not log into this database, but you can do this one. You click on the match manuscript, and in that match manuscript, it will appear a dialog box wherein you can put the abstract of your research. And when you put all the abstract, you click search, all journals related to your paper will appear as the journals indexed in Web of Science. Okay, same as also with Wiley, same as also with other powerful databases. Look for the article match manuscript so that you will not get tired of searching articles over and over again. Okay, what else? Any other questions?
Sir, there's one more question.
Yes.
60% of the journals from the category other. Can you suggest some names of such journals under the other category?
60%.
So in the graph that you showed, there's a pie chart. In that pie chart,
Actually-
60% of journals. Yeah.
Actually, I just summarized the graph. I got it from an article. But actually, these 60% are actually provided with the names, but I cannot tell you names, please. I don't want to be crucified like what people would say, because believe me, if you speak the truth, you will be crucified. Jesus Christ himself was crucified because he spreads the good news and the truth. Okay, so you can do a search of that article.
So there is one more question.
Yeah.
This person, Bhavya N, she is working on a reverse logistics of computer hardware, but all my literature is conceptual study and not scientific. How can I review my research, and do conceptual papers have importance in publication? That is the question.
We have journals that are accepting discussion paper and concept paper. In fact, journals have these editorial notes. Editorial notes wherein authors are being encouraged to submit researches that are actually coming from the opinions of the authors. These are actually the editorial notes wherein this is just a very brief article. If it's a concept paper, that's actually also a publishable one. Perhaps you might be dealing with the problems in the communities on poverty. What are your advices to the Indian government so that they could easily combat this COVID-19 in your area? It's actually a concept paper. There are really journals. Just try to submit that one. But of course, remember, your paper should be concise. Your paper should have been also backed up with scientific data, so that it will be regarded really as a policy paper or a policy brief paper. Okay, so are there any questions so that we can also provide you something? I hope there will be a next segment of this session so that I can also give you more. Okay. Professor Jumo, take it away.
Yeah, sir. Since you time limit is there, so we'll end the question session here. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for answering all these questions. Participants, please note that the link for the feedback form has been posted in the chat box. Please make sure to fill the form. Certificates will be issued within 10 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to personally thank Professor Jahir Mukhtar for contacting me.
My pleasure, sir.
Moving on. Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. I invite Ms. Neema Nibu of second year MA Economics to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Jomor. A very warm good morning to one and all. On behalf of the Department of Economics, I deem it an honor to deliver the vote of thanks. I would like to express my special thanks and gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Gilbert C. Magulod Jr., University Director for Knowledge and Technology Management, Cagayan State University, Philippines, for equipping us with knowledge on such an important topic. Thank you, sir, for taking your valuable time and sharing your knowledge with us. I thank our principal, Reverend Father Dr. Augustine George, and the management for giving us the opportunity to organize this international webinar series and for providing us with a platform to gain insights on the effective routes to get articles published in Scopus and Web of Science Index journals. I extend our gratitude to Dr. Aloysius Edward, Dean of Commerce and Management, for his unending and precious affiliation with the department. I express our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. K. Vinodha Devi, Faculty Coordinator, Department of Economics, for inspiring us and for her constant support, which greatly enabled us in making this webinar a great success. Last but not the least, I thank you all the faculty members, students, and participants of the webinar for actively involving themselves and making the event a huge success. Thank you, dear teachers and students. Once again, I thank you all. I remind.
Thank you, Neema. The session has now come to a close. The host can now end the meeting. Thank you all once again.